of Spears and Mike's podcast, where we discuss hip hop culture, knowledge, and also the streets at times. Those of y'all that are familiar with myself and my co-host, know that we kind of grew up in the Universal Zulu Nation, big lovers and supporters of hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? Striving as youth to gain the knowledge of self, gain the knowledge of the culture, and then just soak it in from the pioneers. You know what I'm saying? Learn from them, and then ultimately teach the culture to our peers and also youth as we became older. Because I joined at 17 years old. If you're familiar with my story and my travels within the organization, so I joined at 17, and I've always been taking this really serious, whether it be hip hop, whether it be Zulu. Both of these things are dear to me. It's not something that I just do in my spare time. I strive to be a student of the culture. I strive to be true to hip hop culture, not just rap music, but all the elements as best as I can. I try to, learn the history, teach the history as best as I can. Um, when I was young, right, we would have like the Zulu Nation lessons, and they're called infinity lessons, and they call infinity lessons because knowledge is infinite, right? You can never learn it all, know it all. And these infinity lessons were like the manual and the guideline and would structure you as a member and show your duties as a member, right? So we would have like the 20 laws, and then we would also have the 15 beliefs, and then we would have like infinity lesson 1 through 7. And these lessons would like organize you and show you what it is to be Zulu. And for us, these lessons were it was mandatory. It's in the law. Law number 4 in the Zulu Nation is Zulu members must learn the infinity lessons. And for me and my comrades, my peers that I grew up with, it wasn't something that we took pretty lightly. It was something that we took very serious. The information, the knowledge, the history, and it was something that you be quizzed on and questioned on it, oftentimes, like you would be on a train or you be at a function or just in your travels and you meet another Zulu and they see the patch on. Usually it was always love, it was always peace. The energy is different. Um, from my experience being Zulu, right? The energy has always been peace and love. You know what I'm saying? This isn't something where people come across you and be like, yo, who you be, or you know what type of time you on, or what hood you from. Usually brothers will give a warm, respectful yet powerful greeting, and when brothers came up to you and say peace Aki, right, and Aki meaning brother, you will return the greeting and say Aki peace. So a lot of times when a brother give you the greeting, or I give a brother a greeting, right, and he don't say in return the proper way Aki peace, I would know that something's off right then and there. It will be like a red flag, But even then, we're not taught to be the aggressor or the oppressor. So if a brother's slacking or lacking the knowledge, it's our duty to teach him. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times I would just correct brothers if they show and prove that they were true Zulu. Um, so how would I know someone's a true Zulu, right? Um, I would know by them telling me, what chapter they're in, right? Um, if they didn't know the lessons, basic lessons, it's a red flag. You wonder how someone could be family, someone could be Zulu, and not like know the basic history, right? Where this comes from, who started it, what year, what chapter you're in, right? Because if you join in, most likely you're a part of a chapter. There is no universal membership. You're not just like nomadic Zulu, like that belongs to no chapter. So me, I've been a part of 3 chapters in my life, right? So I've been elite and I've been Gestapo. Both of those, well, let's say Gestapo, right? We'll go to that first. Gestapo was founded by Zulu King Spider and Zulu King Silver Dollar. Um, both of those brothers were baby spades. Um, they grew up with Africa Bambaataa as a baby spade. That's the history and the lineage of the Zulu Gestapo, and the Gestapo was inspired by other outlaw movements that were in the other street organizations. You see the Gestapo of different street organizations were the basically the police, the enforcers, the ass kickers, the street brothers that served justice when it was time. So this spilled into Zulu, right? The Gestapo crew, the Gestapo chapter. And if you've tuned into previous episodes, Tiny spoke, about this, where there was an era where the Casanovas were out, the Gestapos were out, um, you know, and then obviously the Zulu Nation as well. But these movements were large, very big. But Gestapo has been known to be a chapter not to play with. So um, after a while, right, Gestapo would be shut down, and Elite Chapter was started by Silver Dollar and Zulu King TC Islam. Rest in peace to TC Islam. Rest in peace, good brother, and rest in peace to Zulu King Spider. Gotta say that as well. Legendary brothers that I'm mentioning, brothers that are highly influential, highly respected in the Bronx, highly respected worldwide in the organization. These brothers were somewhat legends. Not even want to say somewhat, they were bona fide legends in the streets. Um, and we miss them brothers, right? So in Zulu, these lessons that we would get, the infinity lessons, would teach us about hip hop culture, teach us about the knowledge of self. We would learn about like the Nation of Islam, the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths. We would learn about the Nuwabians. We would learn about Masonry. We would learn about the Illuminati. We'll learn about secret organizations, stuff like that. We would talk a lot about the New World Order in the meetings in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was information that like a lot of young brothers in hip hop would trying to learn and dissect and you know um it was interesting, it was something that called a lot of youth, a lot of youth wanted this information, and the Zulus indeed had the information. Um, so that knowledge was like the foundation of what we were and what we are as Zulus, because it gave us like this guideline, this structure to build off of. And while we were in the streets, we would strive to learn these lessons as best as we can. Me in particular, like my chapter, I didn't care what the weather was, if it was raining out, if it was snowing, a blizzard. If we had a meeting scheduled, it was going to be on regardless. If I wasn't feeling well or I had other things to do, to me, the family came first and foremost. Z is the last letter in the alphabet. For me, it's the first. At that time, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, well into my, early 30s, this was like, an everyday function for me. And, you know, I really love this era. I love this time. I reflect back on it very often. Because it was very relevant, it was my everyday function. Weekends kicking it with the Zulus out in Chapter 18, out in Jamaica, Queens, and the weekends out in Flushing, Queens with Chapter 17, Shadow Clan. Um, might go to the Bronx, kick it with the Gestapos, might go to a meeting in the Bronx, River Park Towers, might go to an event at Bronx River, you know what I'm saying? Might go to a function at Hunts Point, might go to the National Black Theater. There might be an event, a meeting of the minds or some type of universal meeting, right? First and last Wednesday every month. Universal meetings where all the chapters, all the Zulus were invited, and not even invited, but it's mandatory that you attend these functions. It's in the laws. Zulus must attend unification rallies. And these rallies were to organize ourselves, to give us the work, the plan, the blueprint to make it happen. And I used to be at every first and last Wednesday, every meeting, thirsty, looking to build with my brothers, ready to demonstrate my loyalty and my love for this organization that I cherished at that time. And I still cherish it to this day. It's a little different now, almost being 45 years old, and what took place with the organization and brothers drifting into different areas, some stay in UZN, some stay in organizing the Zulu Union. But here's the thing, right? Whether you UZN or you Zulu Union or you left the family because of what took place, like we have a lot of gifted and amazing Zulus that are just in all different directions. And it's important, man, that we find a way to like organize like what we're doing, right? Like the family is separated, but there's no animosity or beef or real drama between these, different bodies of Zulu. So what needs to take place is brothers need to really decide like what we're all doing to take this into the future. You know what I'm saying? Because like the elders, they move in a certain fashion, in a certain way that's best for them. The younger membership, such as myself, we move in a different fashion, in a different way that suits us best. And really, what suits us best is that we have limited time because brothers such as myself and the brothers and sisters that are my age are young fathers, young sisters with children that are teenagers or younger, or maybe even some young adults, what I'm saying, as kids. And it's a lot. It's not like we're entertainers. We're not like the previous generation, the elder Zulus, they worked in security, doing hip hop shows. They've been MCs, they've been DJs, they've been established, like successfully a part of hip hop culture, whether it's be on the entertainment side, the industry side, brothers like brothers like the legendary Chris Lighty, him being, the founder of Violator Records, straight out of Bronx River. That's a success story. Jazzy J, that's a success story. There's a lot of success stories in the Zulu Nation. Red Alert, A Tribe Called Quest, Fat Joe at the time, so KRS-One and countless others, and there's a wealth of talent in the young Zulus too. Some real dope MCs, dope um dope artists, dope DJs, dope, independent artists, man, that's true to the culture, and they do the culture on the side, but a lot of us have, 9 to 5 jobs. The industry is different right now. You know what I mean? But peace to everybody, man. Like, you know, I don't look at like anybody with like ill will. I strive not to, even though I get mad at times, and I just wish things like were different. You know what I mean? Because like I really loved the elders at a time. It was genuine. Them brothers was teaching me things that my father should have taught me. So it's like when you have a love for a brother that's like, and you see him in a father role, and now you don't talk to him. You miss brothers, but you got to keep it at a distance because you start to wonder if they even really respected you or loved you in return. You know, but at the end of the day, where I'm at with it is things is non-negotiable, like principle, morals. Like I stand on that. Law, stand on that. You know what I'm saying? And if brothers can't respect our stance, the younger Zulus, then then we'll cherish the good times and we'll hold that and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all move in y'all direction, we move in our direction. But what it is like we Zulu, we not going nowhere. Like not me, not them, not us. We're solid with it. We're sturdy. Like, when I've been Zulu like 28 years plus, like I'm not going nowhere. And I've been 28 years steady. Like never been locked up, never been on timeout, never retired, never took a break, day to day with mad Zulus, like raising baby Zulus to Zulu kings, raising young Zulus like warriors, goons, gangsters to being teachers, to being brothers with, like, what I'm saying, class, uplifted brothers, refined brothers, sisters, all that. Like, that's where we're at with it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then you know, because there's so much of a difference between then and now, seeing like everybody tell their stories about their street organizations and what they've experienced and all of that. It kind of made, me want to tell my story. And I had started like a podcast, like my own personal one called Zulu King L podcast. And I did that in 2017, I believe. Might have been 16. I think it was 2016. Yeah, indeed. It was 2016, 9 years ago. And there's a couple episodes still up on YouTube or, out on like Apple Music and stuff. But it was just me detailing my stories as I was like working overnight and an overnight shift at the time at a second job doing security, And I was telling my story because the whole Africa Bambaataa scandal was going on at the time, and I was going through so much turmoil and so much torn feelings on what was taking place. What's truth, what's falsehood, what direction should I move in, what direction should I, help the family go in, and ultimately, like, we decided as a collective it was best for us to move on from the Universal Zulu Nation. We never resigned. We just stayed out the way and just reorganized the Zulu Union. And when the elders caught wind of it, I guess they thought it was like some type of traitor move or like like a so-called power grab. I heard various different views on it. And it's like, yo, you can't you can't leave something where you had the power, like, right, a Zulu King is the highest title, the highest rank you could be in the organization. Um, right? So if I already been that since I was 25 years old, and I'm, at the time then like, 36 years old, like that's how am I leaving for power? Like I was already at the top, you know what I'm saying? I was ready at the top along with my comrades, my peers that were at the top with me. We were all chapter founders, Shaka Zulus, Zulu Kings. We had all the stripes. You know, um, are we the same as the elders? No, we different. We come from a different era. They had their glory, they had their time, and we've had our time, and my time is different now. Like, I don't it's a young man's sport. The young men, the young women have the time and the energy for this. So all I could do right now at almost 45 years old is continue to teach and present what the family is, give the guideline, the blueprint to those that want to continue being Amazulu, being true Zulu, right? And Amazulu means people of the heavens, if anyone's wondering, you know. Listen, man, like I came on here like with no clear direction on what I wanted to talk about today. But what I will say is this: for Zulu to continue in 2026 and beyond, right? Because 2025 is but 5 months left, right? 2026. First of all, I'm gonna say Zulu's always gonna exist. It's never gonna go nowhere. Um, it took a damn near fatal blow in 2016, and it was a wounded bear that went to a cave, and there was some that came out and fought. There was some that went out and resigned and just washed their hands of the situation. There was some that said, "I'm not going nowhere. I'm standing on business." That's respectable. You know what I'm saying? Um, but whatever you did, right? Whether you wound up staying Uzian, whether you wound up organizing and being part of the Zulu Union, whether you resigned, we all had a job, man, and that was to teach the culture, to be true and make a difference in our communities. right? And does the mission end? Does it? Is it still going for y'all? Like, this family was huge. It's still very big. It may be splintered, you know what I'm saying? But it's still really like it's still here, you know what I'm saying? And it's still relevant. So we have an opportunity to take this, and we have an opportunity to look at the wrongs or the flaws and improve upon it. We have an opportunity to look at the lessons and say, this is what we're going to apply, and this is what we're going to omit if it isn't to the standard, or it doesn't make sense in 2025, 2026 and beyond. Then we can set something aside, because it's up to us. We decide where this goes. And when I say we decide where this goes, right, it's up to you to do the work. The young kings, the young chapter leaders, the young membership. It's up to you to find new people to spark their interest, teach them the lessons, the foundation, the culture, and make a new you, right? My goal is to create a bunch of L1s, a bunch of Qs, a bunch of Hood Humbles, a bunch of Reds, a bunch of Just Ps, a bunch of Bigs, a bunch of Acers, a bunch of Watts, right? And what I'm saying is I'm naming brothers that are solid, incredible brothers. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of Tweeties, peace to the Queen. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of Zulu King Bulls. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of A monies. I'm giving honor and respect to my peers, or maybe even some of the ones that came before me, because we can't always carry this on our back. We can't always rely on Boo. We can't always rely on Dragon. We can't always rely on Tweety. We can't always rely. We got families, we got lives, right? We've already given 30 plus years to this. So we need the brothers like Zulu King Smiley, Zulu King Ox. You know what I'm saying? The brother Albie from 17. You know what I'm saying? The brother Gantz from 17. You know what I'm saying? The brother Shaka Zulu Jabs from 2-5. You know what I'm saying? We need the younger generation Zulus to step up and start recruiting. You know what I'm saying? Bringing their friends, their family in this. You know what I mean? Showing them the Zulu love, showing them the Zulu principles. You know what I'm saying? Um, because if you don't do this, I'm out of reach with the youth right now. There was a time where, I was active in the neighborhood, and I'd be playing the block with the young brothers, as foolish as it is, and I would see people how they moving, and strive to, what I'm saying, see if like they're quality, or they have something inside their mind that could like be sparked, you know what I'm saying? And if I saw they was like out of control or wild with it, I would strive to teach them the knowledge of self, to balance them out, you know what I mean, to redirect the energy. And I did that for so many years and so long. And it was a lot of success stories. And sometimes, I failed or fell short of the goal, you know what I'm saying? But I was still active in my community, striving to teach culture from a young age, in the like late 90s, mid to late 90s, giving brothers lessons on Marcus Garvey, about red, black, and green, about the Illuminati, the New World Order. And some people took all this stuff for a joke. And then, in their mid 30s, 20, 30 years later, they own it right now. They want all the info, and then they like internet revolutionaries, you know what I'm saying? But they was laughing at the Zulu lessons when we was handing them out at the park or the playground or the rec center. You know what I'm saying? It was like, nah, these dudes was bugging. They talking, they moving like a gang or look like a gang, and then they talking all this spaced out weirdo shit. You know what I'm saying? That was like the reaction from some people. And I'm not saying just my particular community, but in general, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to the ones that respected it, that were our genuine comrades that really respected what we was doing. There was a lot of people, in our age range, younger people, even some older ones that really respected how we was moving, because Zulu Nation was a reputable and a formidable family that was respected by many. You know what I'm saying? And it could still be respected by many. The Zulu Union could live on and continue to do the work. You know what I'm saying? The Universal Zulu Nation, I'm sure, is striving to do the same thing, find people to do the work. You know what I'm saying? And move on from a tragedy that we all experience, you know. Um, Although that took place in the family, doesn't mean that we all got to give in and fall out. Um, it should be motivation for us all to strive to live this to the max and continue to teach, right? Because if we're not teaching out there, we're not doing the knowledge, there's a lot of organizations that's teaching destruction and leading the youth down the wrong path. We all see it. We see it in the news on a daily basis. We see it on social media, brothers shooting brothers, brothers killing brothers, gang violence. And like, I don't know about y'all, but like, I've had enough of it. I really have had enough of it. I've seen it go from crazy to crazier to just not even understanding what the movement is, what the main objective of the youth is right now, and what is the main objective behind the leadership of the street organizations. Because back in the day, it was about family, love, loyalty, you know, and principle, you know, and it was about structure. Now there's no control, there's no method to the madness. It's like violence on like neutral people, violence on women, right? And no one is getting a control of it. It's out of control and no one is scared to talk. I mean, it's like everybody's scared to talk, and no one is like able to talk on the tough topics and the necessary things, right? Like, what are we doing to keep our brothers and sisters educated and engaged in school, right? That's the duty of a leader. If your gang leader is telling you to go put in the pain, he should also be encouraging you to go to school and get your finish your diploma, go to college, get a degree, go to a trade school, become involved in a trade, right? These are some of the things that the elder Zulus would tell me when I would tell them that I was disinterested in high school. They would say, "Yo, L1, if you drop out of high school, we're throwing you out of Zulu because we don't need you. You worthless to us." You know what I'm saying? You're only to us is when you're educated and you continue to, elevate oneself, right? So you got to elevate yourself. And we have a standard. You can't drop out and be Zulu. So this is what they told me, and I took heed to it and I respected it. You know, that's what a leader is. A leader is to keep you grounded, to keep you on a level field so that when you're wild and young and when you need like that father figure, because our fathers are not in the picture many times, right? I had that in Zulu, where they say, "Yo, no, you got to finish school," and I did it, and they were proud of me. You know what I'm saying? So like that goes a long way, and yo, that's what we all need, man. Father figures, people that's gonna be really involved in our lives, giving us guidance, love, and direction. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it doesn't have to be in a violent gang or street organization for you to have that. You can have that in the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths. You could have that in the Zulu Union. You could have that, being like probably a part of like, positive organizations. You know what I mean? And that's what we got to find. And if you can't find a positive organization that's to your liking as a young adult or, young brother or sister in the community, then start your own organization. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the 5%ers is not for you. Maybe Zulu's not for you. Maybe not Lost Boys for you or Low Life or Decepticons or, Nietas or La Familia or whatever. Maybe none of that's for you. Maybe you got to start your own movement, but do it with a righteous mind state. Do it with forward thinking. Don't think about the now. You know what I'm saying? Think about the future, right? Because the Zulu that I was when I was 17 is not the Zulu that I was when I was 27. It's not the Zulu I was when I was 37, and it's not the Zulu that I will be when I'm 47. We all grow, we all evolve, right? So it's important for you to think about the future, where you're going in down the line. Keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? But I'll say this to close it out. those that are interested in becoming a part of Zulu, the door is always open. We got membership, in various different cities, various different countries around the world. I could always fit you into learning what one of the Zulu leaders, getting the lessons, learning them, being a part of family, and then, helping guide you and give you direction, whether it's on some hip hop stuff, whether it's on some street stuff, whether it's just some man to man, man to woman, some personal, I need a big brother type stuff. I'm for it. I'm here. Like I've done it with hundreds and hundreds of people, countless hours and years and blood, sweat, tears and frustration. But like this is what I love doing. I really love like bringing people into Zulu and teaching them, the lessons and watching them grow and bringing them into leadership, and being a part of that legacy, man. Like, I want my legacy to be like where I've brought in hundreds of Zulus, which I've already done, and say those are some of the finest, most true Zulus in the world. You know what I'm saying? So that we can continue to build with all my great peers that I've grew up with, the Hood Humbles, the, the Reds, the Bigs, the Aces, the Prisms, you know what I'm saying? The Qs, all my brothers that have put in so much work in this. And we didn't do it for nothing. We did it for great cause, great reason. And it's because we cared and we love this. And here in 2025, we got to all find a way how to continue finding that love for this family, continue to find some time to dedicate to the family, and just find new people to bring into this so we can continue growing and moving upwards, elevating. If we don't move, then we're gonna stay stagnant. If something's stagnant, we might as well be just watching it die. Because if there's no movement, then that's it. It's like a watching this go to the graveyard, you know. But I want to thank my co-host for the show. Um, we're about to hit the 1 year for the show. Um, I really thank, Just P and Watt and Razor and all the brothers and sisters that have come on the show to support us and talk about hip hop, talk about Zulu, talk about their experiences and give jewelry to the listeners. You know what I'm saying? Like, and shout out to the listeners too, man, because we do this for y'all. We do this to, build a bond and tell our stories. You know what I'm saying? And what would our stories be without the listeners, without the ones that enjoy the content? So, big shout out to all the Zulus worldwide. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to all the listeners worldwide. This is available not only on YouTube, but it's available on Spotify, Apple Music, all of that. You know what I'm saying? So subscribe, hit that like, drop a comment, man. If you want to build with the Zulus, www.thezuluunion.com. You could also reach out on spearsandmikes.com, you know what I'm saying, and shoot us an email, you know what I'm saying, at spearsandmikes at gmail.com. And you could also email me at zulukingl, ZULUKINGEL at gmail.com. And if you got any questions or inquiries, or you want to learn about hip hop, you want to learn about the Zulu Nation, Zulu Union, reach out, let's build. If you want to just be a comrade, man, and say, yo, like I like your energy, brother. Let's build, let's stay in contact, let's work on some projects, whatever speaking engagements or whatever. I'm with whatever y'all need me to do, I'm here. Young Zulus, man. I'll tell you one last message, man. I love y'all. Keep at it, man, despite the challenges, despite, whatever may be stopping or keeping you out from doing your best work, man. Just get on the job, man. I need everybody to tap in, connect with everybody, get on the jack and start building with the family, start checking on other chapters, start having meetings in the community, man. Start engaging with other community organizations. Let's get this work going, man. It's imperative that we strive to do our best, man, for this, for the culture, for our families. You know, just want to say, man, I love everybody, man. Um, with all my heart, for real. I love y'all, just like I love my daughters, just like I love my wife, just like I love my family. You know, I love the Zulus like that. I love the listeners. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, man. I got nothing but love and respect for everyone, man. Big salute. Thank you for tuning in to Spears and Mics. Peace.